Good morning, everybody. DW here for TeamDeeno, and I am very, very glad to bring in my friend Matt Ricci. How we doing, Matty?
Rocking.
There you go. I love the shirt. So you are an Evans endorsee, right?
Yes, sir. Proudly.
Yep. You're playing the hybrids as well, right?
Right now, we're playing the brand new the EV2s line that came out a few months back after the EV1s, and fell in love with them. But for a while, I've been playing with the Evans. I don't know, since like '05. I've tried a variety of their heads, and every one of them I just keep falling in love with. Oh, I'm sticking with these, and try another one. Oh, I'm sticking with these, and just. But I think I found my niche. These EV2s are really
nice.
Yeah.
So they tune nicely and
fantastic. Right out of the box, no stretching, right on.
Very cool. And a friend of ours plays Evans as well.
A few of our friends. That's one main one that I know.
Yeah. And it may be, let's see, I'm going to go up over here. So anyway, so Maddie is a longtime friend of mine, but also of Dean's. And Maddie is also a drummer and has the distinction, plays in a magnificent tribute band called BonJourney NY. And we've had the pleasure of seeing you guys play in New York as well as in Connecticut here in God's country. And, it's you guys put on a phenomenal show and, do justice to the music and bring it back home to all of us. And I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate the enthusiasm.
Well, and of the tribute bands, I think I may be wrong, but I think you guys are like the only one that has actually played with a member of Journey and or Bon Jovi.
Gotta research that, but I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but after that happened with Dean, that just I didn't need to search any further. I knew what we did, and it was one of those most memorable nights. And you were there.
Yes. Oh, I wasn't going to miss it.
Neither was I.
Yeah, it was. It was the type of thing. So it was in early 18, March of 18, I believe, and the Dead Daisies were in town to do rehearsals for the Burn It Up, Burn It Down. I always get it mixed up. So and Karabi always smacks me in the head. As a firefighter, we like to burn things up, but they were burning it down. But they were rehearsing, and Dino broke free, and I remember it because he's like, "Hey, if you guys can get a gig, then I'll see if I can come play."
Dude, we were on the plane back from the first JTT show when we were texting back and forth, and he's like, "Maddie, coming out to New York, blah, 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 and, get something together. I'm going to be in for a while, blah, blah, we'll come down and play." I'm like, okay. Called up management right away. I'm like, dude, you got to book something the week of this, and we got a spot downtown in Manhattan, and Dean showed up, and woo.
And it was funny because in the middle of the set, he's texting me, and he's like, "I'm on my way," and and I was he was running. He was running late. Imagine that.
Yeah. New York City traffic.
and then he's like, "Dude, where is this place? My taxi driver is driving all over the place." And I said, "The street's about this big, and have him drop you off over here, and I'll meet you." And he kept calling me and texting me. I don't know where we are. And the room itself was about as big as my kitchen, but it was packed.
Yeah,
and
it was nice.
It was
well,
fun.
We didn't when we knew it was happening, we wanted to keep it like on the hush. We didn't really want to blow it up or anything like that. So we kind of advertised it as, join us. We had a special surprise guest going to be joining us for a few songs. We didn't say who or where or what, but those people that were, that follow us, we have a pretty loyal following, and the room was packed, wall to wall. So it made for a cool night.
It was.
But for him to come off the street cold with no warm up and just had a glass of soda before he jumped up there and just, that was really cool. And then to have the idol, my idol, like sitting on my kit and, be able to play Don't Stop Believing with the rest of the guys was really cool.
Yep. So he did a Rev Saint song, and
which we had like a week to learn.
Yes.
And Sean and Joe just really nailed Doug's part. And actually, Doug was supposed to come with Deen and got caught up with some kind of radio interview that he had to do that night, so he wasn't able to make it down. But Joey and Sean like really pulled it off. It was great. And you see the look in Dean's eyes when we were cutting that song, and it was really cool.
I remember him looking over at Joey because Joey was doing doing those the
Jack Blades.
Thanks. The Jack parts.
I want you to struggle here, Kurt.
It's so late and I've been drinking all day, so. But what a cool thing to do, and but we've known him for such a long time, and the inner character, there's folks that on TeamDeeno that see the videos and see him playing and the singing and everything, but then it's what's in here, the guy. And one thing that I'm going to mention briefly because it's pertinent is you weren't feeling well a couple of weeks ago, and Dino's original reaction was when you went to the doctor, right before you went to the doctor, was what?
Bro, he goes, the second if you got to go to the hospital, he goes, let me know because I'm taking a flight out. And I'll hang out with you. I'll stay at your place. I'll make errands. I'll run errands for you and blah, 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 blah. And just to make sure I was okay. Like, unbelievable. I was like, what?
Yeah. Yep. And thankfully you didn't have to go to that extreme and
no, it wound up being a neck, shoulder, nerve, spine thing. And, grace of God, it all worked out.
Well, you didn't want him driving your Tahoe anyway, so that wouldn't have been
No, I told him we would have had to bring the new Beamer out because I would have loved that one.
Yeah. But that just speaks to the kind of guy that he is, and it's and that's the guy that we know. So the random text, the three of us are on text all the time, and some of the stuff it's like, really?
Yeah, just all of a sudden I'll just be a random. All of a sudden my phone's blowing up. FaceTime Dean. I'm like, oh man, what? And dude, the guy moves like 100 miles. You can't sit still. I got dizzy doing the FaceTime. I'm like, stand still. But it's like one of those things. Still to this day, it's like being a kid in the toy store. Like when that phone rings and it's him, and somebody you grew up admiring and wanting to be like, and pattern you're playing after, and like when that phone blows up and it's him, and he's like, my idol's calling me, and just to have that friendship with him since August of 2005 is just. There's no words. There's just no words.
Absolutely. And just and the flip side of that too is that 5 years ago when he had some issues, we were right there as well.
We were there. Like he called me and supported me and like wanted to fly out for me. Like it was reciprocal. And we told him that, listen, screw everything, screw everybody. You got to be okay. And your friends are here for you, your family's here for you, and you're gonna get through this. And we did, and we pushed him, and he was really so self-strong, and just the way he so resilient and so determined. I want to use that word, determined, and he pulled out of it, and I don't think he's been as strong as he's ever been as he is now.
Yeah, and in a good place, and I'm
gonna get better. And he was great back then, but I think he's even in a better spot now, and he's focused, and like I'm so happy for him.
And and I think part of the transformation, if you will, was looking back at what caused and he's made no bones about it. It's one thing when you're structured when you're on the road for 3 months, 4 months, or whatever, but then you come home. And you're the rock star in a small little place, and everybody wants a piece, and it's tough to especially folks that you've grown up with or you hung with for 20, 30 years. Right. And part of the transformation was to say, enough, I can't do that anymore. And whether it's adulting or whatever.
He's lived it his whole life, started out in his first band, I think at 18, and was touring nationally at 21, can't be easy for anybody.
No. No, and I, and I talked to Travis Thibodeau the other day, and it struck me because when Journey was in the middle of, I think it was the middle of the Def Leppard tour. He and his wife were going through some issues, and and it was, so we're talking about Faithfully, and John writing that song about what they went through, et cetera, in his journey. And the same thing happened to Travis, and Neil has had some issues. So and certainly Deen has had a couple of marriages as well. It's not an easy lifestyle.
No, and I think we all have that one song that hits home with us, and that's definitely one of my top two.
Well, I know what the other one is too.
Open Arms, was my wedding song, so I gotta give it a 3.
All right, yeah. And the third one is
Only the Young.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That used to be your ringtone, but now you got some.
You know what? There's a story behind that. I'm sure you know that little boy years ago, Kenny Sakalik.
Yep.
And ever since seeing that on the behind the music on VH1, that little kid, like what he was going through and what that song meant, and like how they brought it to him, and just the words in that song. And then it happened to be in one of my favorite movies as a kid growing up, Vision Quest. Yep. And so that song always just hit a chord with me for that reason. It's like every time it plays or we play it, we actually always sometimes open with it. And I could just remember the story about Kenny Sakalik, and that was like, but that's the kind of band Journey is. Like that was Kenny's song. That song never even made it to an album.
Yeah.
It was on the Greatest Hits and it was on the Vision Quest soundtrack, but actually never made it to a legit album.
Music does that, and that's a beautiful thing. It transcends, and it also uplifts and gives you an opportunity to get away and stuff. And
it brought us all together.
It did, and music and our friend, and when you look around, you talked about the original JTT. You and Meg flew out, and Laura and Ashley and I flew out, and our dear friend Mika flew in from Japan, and Mary and them came in from Texas, and Karen from the North Pole. It was, it was great. We had lots of what a week.
That was a not to be missed opportunity. There was no way I was not getting on a plane for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And and again, I remember standing on the balcony and looking at you, and Deen he's a basher, but on a number of songs, I remember him watching him, and he had a traditional grip in his left hand, and he was doing circles and stuff on the ride cymbal, and it was gentle, and and I remember grabbing you and saying, look.
Yeah, that was unique because he doesn't want in that kind of environment. I don't think for that first tour there was any kind of monitor system. They weren't wearing in-ears or anything like that. So like to control the volume in that room, I think he just had to scale back a little bit, and he went to on certain songs went to a traditional grip, so he's not laying into that drum as much. I'm sure Scoop was happy about that because he didn't have to change as many drum heads.
Yeah. Where's that spare snare?
Yeah, right.
And it was magical. That it was electric in that room.
That was amazing. It was so personal. It was so like one-on-one, and just all those old cuts. Really, it was like being at that 30th anniversary tour back in 05, like all over opened up.
And when a different song would come on that somebody hasn't heard in the longest time, it would people were like, you could hear a gasp in the room. It's like
the switch. It's like, oh my God.
It was amazing. And so we've got you and I have matching Rev Saints necklaces here.
Yep.
So I had mine engraved on the back, so I can't read it. Challenge your fate. Always give your best. That's from right. Million Miles from Revolution Saints. So I get that may be it may end up being right here. You never know. So
I'm running out of room. I'm gonna have to start exploring other options.
Well, I see you're starting to, to paint your face there too.
Listen, that's the curtain me. I gotta look like Papa.
So anyway, it's always great to catch up with you and to talk about our friend and he's got some good things coming on. The new Dead Daisies album hopefully is going to be released soon, and the tracks, it's bringing Glenn in just added a vibe, and it's different. And here's the funny thing: there are folks that are upset that Krabby and Marco left, and I'm never going to listen to this again because those were the Dead Daisies. But what's that?
There were Daisies members before that.
Well, when I brought Dino into Manhattan for his audition, I looked at him and I said, "Dude, do you realize that if you get this gig, you're going to be the 5th drummer?" And this was in 2017.
There was no musicians in that band. I mean, on drums, you had Frank Ferrer, who's now with Guns N' Roses. You had Brian Tishy, Dean. I mean, there's a legacy of great musicians in that band. And
yes,
even the guitar players. I mean, you had Doug, you had Rich Fortis. I mean, just incredible talent. Marco Mendoza, just unbelievable talents in that band. Dizzy Reed.
Yep. And Krabby. I mean, Krabby's an incredible musician and singer. So and Journey now is there's one original member, so I guess we'll call that a collective now too. So but Randy's back for his second time. So and there's going to be some new music released there.
From what I heard, I mean, I don't know how true it is, but supposedly they're in the studio already.
Yeah, they said that they've got 5 tracks done, and they're going to release one by the end of July. So, we'll see with Narada and Randy Jackson playing bass. So
yeah, it's that music that brought me and Dean to our friendship. Back in 05, I mean, with Journey's, being that he was with Journey so long, it was just a blessing for me because I could tell you the first time I actually heard him play drums, it wasn't even with Journey or anybody else. It was actually with Tony McAlpine.
Wow.
First time I heard the song Tears of Sahara, because my friend worked at Sam Goody at the time. He's like, "Oh, you got to check out this album." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Listen to this guitar player. He's awesome." I'm like, "Who's on drums?" And I looked at the album cover and it was Deen Castronovo. And at the time I didn't know who he was, but that was what put me on the map with him. And I was TeamDeeno from Tony McAlpine on out. But
there was bad English for me.
Oh yeah, well that too. I mean, doof. But even Hardline, Johnny, our friendship with Johnny, and
yes,
just incredible bands. It was just what an incredible musician and drummer. And I was new to music at the time myself, and I was like, I want to sound like that guy. Everybody was always about like the Buddy Riches and the this and the that, and I was like, that's the dude.
And to be able to play with that much energy, and and the juxtaposition. So last year I had I got to see Dean play a bunch of times, but then also seeing Steve Smith on the Journey tour, and you watch Steve and he's straight up and he's effortless. Right. And then you watch Dino and he's all over the place like an octopus, and he's just beating and pounding. And you close your eyes and the Steve's sound is very, very loud and precise, but totally different methods and activities. So anyway, so what's the words of wisdom that Matt's got for TeamDeeno today?
Things help me narrow that down. I don't know. Wait, it's a beautiful day out. If you're gonna go out and enjoy the sun in the day, I'm gonna do that here with the family today. Got some friends coming over. We're gonna enjoy the pool, have some lunch, and I don't know. I guess just stay strong. It's a crazy world we're living in.
Yeah.
And, just be there for one another, support one another, support live music, and support our friend. He's really working his tail off right now. He's got a lot of things going on, a lot of projects going on, and we love him, so we're there for him.
Absolutely. So, Maddie, I'm going to let you get to your family. And, it looks like the pool needs to be cleaned a little bit. So, I don't know whether the pool boy needs to come or.
Actually, it was just here not that long ago,
All right, Maddie, I love you, man. You're awesome. Have a great day.
All right. Talk to you
Take
soon.
care.